McDonnell and Beck coming into the room. And let's set the city in as a citizen.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight as we wanted to make a couple of announcements. And my name is Deirdre Fike. I'm the Assistant Director for the Los Angeles Office of the FBI. I'm joined here tonight with Mayor Eric Garcetti, with Chief Charlie Beck from the LAPD, and with Sheriff Jim McDonnell from the Los Angeles Sheriff's Office. Tonight we wanted to talk about a threat that had come in, a counterterrorism threat from our international partners that we wanted to act upon and address with the public so that we could provide information on what we're doing to address this threat. Information was relayed this morning from the FBI to the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force from our international partners that there was a potential threat from an anonymous phone call that was made on a public safety line regarding the red metro line at that stops at the Universal Studios here in Los Angeles. The reason that we wanted to bring this information to your attention is that there is the imminent threat that it was to take place tomorrow. We are right now looking at the credibility of the threat. We're continuing to work this investigation, and we're coordinating that along with our local partners here in Los Angeles, with our international partners who provided the initial information. The threat has some specificity, so we wanted to be able to run it down. And as you know, during the holidays, we tend to get an increased threat posture. And so this threat, because of the specificity and the imminence of the threat, we felt it was important that we provide this information to the public. As soon as we received the information from our international partners this morning, we immediately reached out to our local partners here in Los Angeles who began to provide and plan resources and the response to this particular threat. We have some additional information that's coming in, but as I said, right now we are trying to determine the credibility of the threat, and we'll provide enough information that we can make sure that the public feels safe and secure and can go about its daily business. We are working not only with our local law enforcement partners and international partners, but also with private sector to make sure this information is passed on as relevant. I think it's important to note that as we stand here to get together this evening, that everybody should be confident in knowing that law enforcement is taking all appropriate action to address the threat and is sharing all information, and will continue to work this throughout this evening and into tomorrow to determine what response is needed. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Eric Garcetti for some comments as well.
Thank you very much, Assistant Director Fike. Thank you for your excellent work and the embodiment of our federal and local law enforcement partnership here, also embodied by our sheriff's presence and the chief of police of the city of Los Angeles. Good evening, everybody, and thank you all for being here. There's no bigger priority for all of us here than the safety and security of our people in Los Angeles. And right now, as you heard, we are dealing with a threat that we often ask people to look at both the specificity and whether a threat is credible. Right now we do have specific information, and we're trying to determine whether it is a credible threat. At this point, I don't think we can say that it is credible, but with an abundance of caution, we always want to make sure that we have a posture out there to protect our people here in Los Angeles. My advice is right now everybody should go about their normal day tomorrow. In fact, I'll be boarding the Red Line myself in the morning at Universal City at the stop there as a show, as I've also talked to our Director of Metro, where I serve as the Vice Chair, Phil Washington, and others will be on those lines throughout the city of Los Angeles and the county of Los Angeles, which we want to reassure people we will have plenty of presence. Now, people may see a heightened security presence at some of the stations there, increased patrols at metro stations and other places tomorrow, but don't let those frighten you. Those are there for your protection. And we meet threats with every possible precaution that we can. When someone says they want to cause harm to Angelinos, we pull together and make sure that that is nothing more than a threat. and show force to make sure anybody who would seek to inflict harm is met by the great law enforcement officials that we have here. More than 145,000 commuters ride our red and purple line subways each and every day. I'm often one of those riders as well, and it's a great line, both of those lines, something that we encourage Angelinos to use. But tonight is about ensuring that passage to and from those lines will be safe and will be secure tomorrow, as worry-free as possible. Tonight's also about sending a strong message that here in Los Angeles, we are vigilant, not only in law enforcement and in government, but also through your help. So obviously, if you see something, say something. We want to make sure that people are always reporting that. The iWatch application, which you can download on your phone, is a great way to let people know if you see something suspicious. And you can always call 877-8-THREAT if you see something that seems out of the usual. You are the first line of defense, as we have at the same time great men and women from law enforcement who will be present there. And as I reiterated, I will be out there myself as mayor too, riding our great subway tomorrow. So thank you for that. Brevemente también, en español, yo quiero decir, no hay prioridad más alta en la ciudad de Los Ángeles y del condado de Los Ángeles que la seguridad de la gente y los residentes aquí. Y como ustedes han escuchado, no hay una amenaza creíble en el condado de Los Ángeles al sistema de transporte público aquí. El público no debería tener temor mañana. Estamos aquí porque respondemos a todas las amenazas con precaución. Yo estaré en las líneas rojas y purple mañana. Es importante porque como alcalde yo quiero viajar en estas líneas increíbles. Y cuando alguien dice que quiere dañar a la gente de nuestra ciudad, nosotros juntamos todos los recursos que tenemos a nuestra disposición para asegurar que estemos vigilantes de cualquier actividad sospechosa. Thank you very much, and with that, I'll hand it back over to you, or ask our sheriff to come forward, Jim McDonnell, great sheriff of the County of Los Angeles.
Thank you, Mayor, very much. Thank you all for being here tonight. As you heard, we received this threat this morning. We have a great team working together, federal, state, and local partners. We've been running this to ground all day long, and this could be real, it could be a hoax, but we must remain calm but vigilant. And we're asking the public to take the same precautions they would take on any other day. And we ask that people always be vigilant as they go about their daily routines. As far as actions we're taking, what you don't see is just as important as what you will see. You will see, as the mayor mentioned, an increased uniform presence, especially at transit stations where we also deploy our K-9 explosive detection teams. We'll have undercover operations underway as well. And then we always have, as our partners do, the ability to be able to pull together special weapons, bomb squad, hazmat teams are forward deployed, including our transit-trained threat interdiction unit. So we have the best equipped and the best trained people in the world, I would argue, right here in Los Angeles, the ability to be able to respond quickly, and we work together extremely well together. Transit is always of concern, but our special assets are deployed countywide. Our Department Operations Center has additional staffing as well and coordinating all of our department resources. We're also working together with LAPD, with all of our partners, the FBI and the Joint Terrorism Task Force, and we're all briefed to be extra vigilant, especially around any critical infrastructure sites. The way the public can help us is, as the mayor mentioned, if you see something, say something, but then do something as well. Call us. Let us know if something doesn't seem right. We'll go out there, we'll investigate it, and we'll ensure that everybody goes about their business in a very safe manner. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to share this information with the writing public as well as the general public overall, and thank you for your partnership. I'll turn it over now to Chief of Police, Los Angeles PD, Charlie Beck.
Thanks, Charlie. Well, first, thank you all for being here. It's a very important story for you to cover. It is a tough decision that we make when we come forward and alert the public about a threat. As our FBI partners stated, you know, we look at threats constantly in the city of Los Angeles and in the county, and the people of this region are very lucky to have law enforcement and on the federal and the county and the city side that work so well together, and a great mayor that solidly supports public safety in all three of those arenas. So this threat is imminent, you know, as it's related to tomorrow. It is very specific. As was stated, red line, Universal City, station off-ramp there. But the credibility still needs to be vetted out. But because of the imminent nature, it was important to come forward. You will see, as has been stated by everybody else, additional resources. You will see additional safety measures taken, but they are out of an abundance of caution. I believe, as does the mayor, that this is a safe city made much safer by the partnerships you see here. So I think that the public should know that when you ride rapid transit tomorrow, you will see an increased presence, but it is because we don't have the time to vet this threat in the way that we would like to. We would much rather get these things weeks in advance rather than hours in advance, and so this one we have to move quickly on. Abundance of caution, we notify the public. So I'll end with 1877, threat. If you see something, say something. You are the eyes and ears of law enforcement. Public safety is my profession, but it's everybody's business. It's so important that we have the eyes and ears of the general public. And then also, if you haven't already, please download the iWatch LA app. This is a great app where you can make reports of suspicious activity over your phone, over your personal electronic device, and we will, either the sheriff's department or the FBI or the LAPD will vet that out and make sure that you're as safe as you can possibly be. With that, back to
Thank you. All right, so that's the information we have to pass on tonight, and if there's any questions, we can take those.
So you said the information came from international partners.
Yes.
So the threat came from from abroad.
It did
What?
come from abroad. It was an anonymous tip threat that came in on a tip line.
And what country?
That I'm not going to provide right now, but we continue to work closely with them. As you know, we have offices around the world, and we have legats and agents assigned who are working side by side with that country to develop additional information on the threat.
Was the threat made in English?
The threat was made in a partner country that we work with.
No, in English.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And with man, woman?
We have right now, it was came in from a man, and we are currently running down that information. Like I said, we don't know the credibility of the threat, so we are continuing to look into that. We hope to identify additional information throughout the evening that we can follow up on for tips and leads.
And you said a tip line. So does that mean that somebody was calling to warn this was coming, or they were saying, I'm going to do this?
No, they were warning us about a potential threat.
Okay.
This tip was specific to the red line, but you plan to protect the entire system. Can you be more specific?
So the tip that came in identified the red line as the threat. We look at this though across the board. We have a number of threats that we look at on any given day, and so as we investigate this particular threat, we don't want to isolate that as the only part of our investigation. We would look at providing security anywhere in the city that we think we need to, and throughout the county. That's why we work closely together in sharing this information. We are constantly looking at what our potential threats are, and because this threat came in specifically to that, obviously that's where the resources will be placed.
You
And
say you
what-
get threats all the time. Why are you putting so much attention to this one specifically?
So as it was noted, it was, we just received this threat hours ago. There's a likelihood that we'll be able to vet this out as a non-credible threat. But because we didn't have the time that we needed, the lead time, to really look further into this, we felt it was important that we get this message out to the community.
Alcalde, tal vez si me lo puede decir en español. ¿Por qué están poniendo tanta atención a esta amenaza específicamente y no a las otras que reciben constantemente?
No pensamos que esta amenaza es creíble, pero no tengo mucho tiempo. Esta amenaza recibimos hoy, y es importante tener los recursos que necesitamos durante estas situaciones. Recuerdes la situación con el distrito escolar. Es muy similar. Con tiempo no fue creíble. Y probablemente no es creíble también, pero con precaución necesitamos tener los recursos por la gente de Los Ángeles y su seguridad. And I'll just say that in English too real quick. Remember the school district incident that we had here too. Sometimes we get a very specific threat. It comes to us late. In that case, none of the folks here made that decision, but the school district decided to have an abundance of caution And I think all of us, those judgment calls are made with short periods of time to make sure that resources are there. Should there be anything high stakes, we want to make sure that you err on the side of more resources than fewer.
Y nuevamente, ¿nos puede decir de dónde vino esta llamada para los medios de comunicación? Ella lo explicó en inglés, pero si nos puede decir, ¿no? ¿De dónde vino esta llamada?
No pueden hablar de dónde información es de, pero es otro país, un hombre, y el hombre no fue persona con la amenaza, él tuvo la información de esta amenaza.
Right, Ms. Fike, I just want to confirm because it's a little different than what was reported earlier. So someone calling on an anonymous tip line abroad was warning that somebody else was threatening to blow up the Universal City Red Line station tomorrow.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anything specific about blowing it up? I mean, did they say explosives? That kind of information?
The details that we have right now are being shared with our law enforcement partners for follow-up, but right now there's no more information that needs to be provided at this time as we try to vet out the credibility of the threat.
Could the sheriff talk about, at this point, how long you plan to have the heightened safety on the metro system, or has that not been decided yet?
No, we always have a high level of vigilance anyway. Many you see, many you don't see. As I mentioned earlier, we will continue to work the information we have and move our resources around to where we feel we can get the best use out of them. And as mentioned earlier, we work very closely with all of our federal, state, and local law enforcement partners to be able to harden the targets and be able to respond to anything that arises. So there's no window that I can give you right now that we can work with. We'll be guided by the intelligence.
And Ms. Fike, it seems that there would be really no way to track down the caller, given that it was an anonymous tip line. Is that right?
Well, obviously, we're continuing to work on that with our partners, and so as the investigation continues to develop, that's obviously our priority right now is to try to track down the caller and gain additional information so that we can follow up on the veracity of the tip.
And did the information come into the international partners this morning as well, or did it come in earlier?
So as soon as the international partners received that, we were contacted here in Los Angeles through the JTTF about the threat.
Also, the holidays obviously are here. There's going to be a lot more people shopping. There's going to be a lot more people, let's say, at Disneyland, all these other parks. Obviously, this is not the area, but what are you going to do? Are you also going to be, beefing up security because of the season?
So we frequently see the threats increase during holiday seasons, whether it's the 4th of July, whether it's over the holidays that are coming up. We always have that presence available. We coordinate with our partners through the JTTF all the time, working on any potential threats that come in. There are targets that are hardened because of that. But I think what's important to note is we're constantly sharing the intelligence and the information that is received either by the FBI or by our partners. We are in constant communication and interaction, and so if we receive any specific threats, we're certainly acting on those immediately.
Alcalde, si nos puede hablar de eso en español, por favor, ¿no? Del incremento en estos días de Navidad.
Sí, en este día de Navidad, esta estación es importante siempre a tener los recursos y tenemos más amenazas cada año durante este tiempo, estos días. Este es una preocupación de nosotros durante estos días y tenemos lugares como el aeropuerto, el puerto, el sistema de transporte público. Usualmente tenemos más recursos durante estos meses, estas semanas.
Could you say, did the anonymous tipster specify who was planning to blow up the station?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't have any detailed information to pass on at that time. Other than we've shared as much information as we can with our law enforcement partners as we continue. I mean, this is obviously an active investigation. We'll continue to share that. And I just want to reiterate, there are no other specific threats for the holidays. So we are looking at this and we are sharing that information because it was specific to tomorrow. We do not have any other specific threats right now to share, but we will continue to address anything that comes to our attention.
This is obviously the kind of thing that will make the public very jittery, and I know you're telling people to be aware and watch out. Are there any specific things that they might look for, any behaviors that might cause major concern that they should do?
Well, we always ask the public to be vigilant and look for anything that looks suspicious or out of the ordinary. Through the resources that are being provided tomorrow to address this particular threat, we feel confident that we have law enforcement in place to be able to identify anything that we feel is specific to this threat. But we ask always, for the public to be a part of this solution, and it's better to call on something that seems suspicious and let us vet it out as opposed to not call. So we'll just put it out there that it's just as important, and one of the reasons we want to get this message out there is so that the public is aware and will call. And as we put out that information on the iWatch LA app, and then also with the 877 threat number, those are examples of how easy it is to get that information passed on to law enforcement, and we encourage people to do that if there's anything that looks suspicious.
We'll take
We
two
also,
more questions.
just on that too, we also
Somebody can
encourage the
ask?
public to participate. If you have sheriff's deputies, Los Angeles police officers, others who come up, ask to see your bag or something like that, just help us tomorrow, because we'll be having that extra layer of vigilance. It's not, nobody's being singled out. We just want to make sure that we have a safe, secure way. Like I said, I will be there personally, taking that line from that station tomorrow. I have great confidence in our law enforcement officials, and wanted to show that I too will be traveling there tomorrow.
What
Ms.
time are you
Fike, to
planning to do
clarify,
that?
did the call originate
I'll
from
let
the
you know.
same country
Yep.
where the tip was received?
In the morning.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Did the call originate from the same country where the tip was received?
Yes.
One more question?
Sheriff, in terms of tomorrow, will commuters see armed deputies on the trains?
They will. They'll see a heightened sense of vigilance as far as law enforcement partners all engaged in and around the stations, on the trains, on the lines, and there'll also be people there who'll be in plain clothes that they won't see. And again, as mentioned earlier, what can the public do to be helpful? If they see something that doesn't look right to them and their hair stand up on the back of their neck, let us know. Let us go out there and vet it. We'd rather be able to go out and find that there's nothing to it than later on to look and somebody says, I had a funny feeling about that. I should have said something. Don't be the person that regrets when something should occur.
Ms. Fike, did the tipster say whether it was someone else or an organization that was planning to do this, and say anything about how they knew this information?
We're still following up on those leads, and so that is something that we will continue to develop throughout our investigation. I think the important takeaway from this is you see us all standing up here together, that you know that we are taking all appropriate action to address this threat. Everybody that needs to be informed is being informed of the detailed information so that we can follow up appropriately, not only as you see us here united in Los Angeles, but also with our international partners. So we do feel it's important that the public knows that as we work together, that we are taking all precautions necessary to keep our community safe.
Alcalde, la última pregunta, si nos puede decir en español, ¿no? Para nuestra comunidad, ¿qué es lo que puede hacer la comunidad para ser más vigilante?
Sí, es importante que todos los residentes de Los Ángeles participen en la seguridad común de esta ciudad. Hay oficiales, diputados mañana que necesitan ver sus bolsas, otras cosas, ayudan. Y es importante hacer los ojos, las medidas. Toda la gente son parte de esta fábrica integral de seguridad en Los Ángeles. Pero estaré en la estación en la ciudad de Universal mañana en esta línea. So, no tengan miedo, ayúdanos y espero que este no es una amenaza creíble. Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you all.